to supporting the tournament and the stream, of course, and allowing me to continue doing what I'm doing here on the channel. Guys, to the bottom right hand side, our blue Zerg player is, of course, Nerchio. And to the upper left hand side, the red Protoss player from Cascade, DnS. Okay then guys, how's everyone doing today? How's everyone feeling? Again, this is our last series of the day simply because Nation Wars is on. It doesn't make a lot of sense to cast replays during Nation Wars, so we are going to be wrapping it up after this one for the day at least. But it still means we've got one fun series, and again this decides who takes first and second place in the group, moving into the playoffs next week. And again, playoffs will be on Friday next week. We still have Group C and D to play out on Wednesday and Thursday as well. So if you're looking for more WardiTV Invitational action, you can definitely check it out going into the future. Man, my throat's really funny today. Alright. Let's have a little bit of a look to see what's gonna happen in the next couple of moments between these two guys, as already a Nexus, nice and quick, Nexus core from DnS sets us up in towards that sort of game, which you kind of expect to see. Meanwhile, there's a hatchery dropping down from Nerchio off to the side, hatch gas and a pool here, and we are going to see this probe just mining away. Zerafan asking, when can we see who's in Group C and D? You know, that's a good question. The reason they weren't announced just yet fully is because I just didn't have the groups fully confirmed, but I actually believe now I do. So, how about I just tell you, again, this is not 100% guaranteed, but this is what we are currently expecting, because we do at least, at the very least, have the players confirmed for this. So, that's actually a very good question. Let me just open up to make sure I don't miss anyone. So, Group C currently looks like this: Solar, Rogue, Lambo, Optimus, and Maxed. And Group D is Keen, Mana, Impact, Creator, and Puck. We might do a little swapperoo. There might be a little bit of shifting. I'm just going to double confirm, but that is the current lineup. The remaining players: Solar, Lambo, Optimus, Rogue, Maxed, Keen, Mana, Impact, Creator, and Puck is going to be Group C and D. So look forward to that. If you ask me, it sounds like a pretty good kind of set of players. I'm excited about Rogue, man. I invited Creator to the event as a Protoss player, and he replied to me like, hey, cool, yeah, I can play. By the way, can Rogue play? He wants to take part. It's always nice when, you know, someone like Rogue is like, hey man, I want to play in your tournament. Like, yeah, sure, yeah. I'm not gonna say no to you, buddy. You're pretty good at the game, you know. Not gonna deny a Rogue a place in the tournament. So, yeah. We didn't really invite too many what I would call kind of super high level or high end Koreans. I wanted to make this a bit more of a foreigner focused event to some extent. I wasn't kind of completely locking out Koreans, but I don't mind inviting a couple of the, you know, the very top ones, such as Rogue, obviously Solar qualified as well. Yeah, I mean, it's always interesting, I feel, to see how things go, and I just wanted to make this event a bit different. I feel as though a lot of my tournaments I invite a lot of Koreans, so try to focus this one a bit more on non-Korean invites. Anyways, those are the players. Hopefully that helps to answer your question, as we do get to see what's going on here. This Adept actually gets caught by the Lings in the end. It looked as though he'd gotten away, but they meet again, and this time the Lings do get the kill, and the Adept does fall. Oracle on the way out of the Stargate, as already we see the Phoenix has been hunting and has found one Overlord. Now a second Overlord being hunted for as well at the moment. Remote Facility and a Twilight Council dropping down from DnS. There's again a few more drones on the way up, and another couple of Spore Crawlers are coming up as well. The Overlord is still on its way out, so again continue to get ready to go, and the lair now from Nerchio starting up too. I mean, everything so far kind of similar to what we've been seeing in PvZ throughout the recent times. The lairs may be a bit later than usual. You know, a lot of the time we see kind of the lair coming in at like 4 minutes now, not 4:30. As we will see, this Phoenix and Oracle is waiting to dive into the main, but a second queen, they're not going to find much damage here. Some extra gateways getting thrown down. DnS, 4 extra gates on the way at the moment. Already has 2 at the front, so it's 6 gates before he gets the third Nexus. It's a very aggressive opener here from DnS, as we'll see the Phoenix coming in, sees the double queen, realizes he can't just lift up one of these and let the Oracle get to work, and so backs away immediately, keeping the energy on those units for a later stage. Again, Phoenix and the Oracle coming in. We do see just a little bit of damage being done on one of those drones, so just poking away a little bit there. Again, a little bit gained so far. A couple of Zealots and an Adept from DnS setting up now towards the third base. Another Zealot on its way over. A couple of extra gateways about to finish up, and the charge upgrade is just about halfway done. Third Nexus is starting up as well. 5 more Banelings are coming through. Some more Zerglings on the way out. The Hydralisk Den is just over halfway done as well, so it's obviously Nerchio's tech off of the leg really coming through. Center field hooks is obviously very important with that. The Hydra Bane setup, something we've again been seeing kind of game in and game out from Protoss players lately, or Zerg players, sorry, in ZvP. It's just the way that people have agreed that is kind of the best way to play. It's just the way that is strong to play right now. We saw players move away from Lingbane Hydra for a while actually, but they really are back kind of into that sort of favour with all of these kind of Zealot openers. We've seen a lot more kind of just Baneling based openings, people finding a lot of success with it here. As we are going to be seeing a few Zealots will warp in on the left hand side, and well, some Lings actually fighting on the right. I'm not sure how well that goes for him because he has to get ready to fight on the left as well, and those Lings, they're just going to win that fight. It's a very well picked fight from Nerchio, because honestly, for myself as the observer, I wasn't sure if that was a fight that Nerchio was going to be able to win there. You never know, Zealots sometimes they're just so good, although no upgrades on these Zealots I guess does have a bit of an impact. Obviously no upgrades on the Lings as well, but I feel as though armor on the Zealots really benefits the Zealots a lot more than the Lings do from like a melee upgrade or so. Maybe that's just me. Anyways, the fight does go the way of Nerchio both on the right and on the left hand side of the map here. As you see a few more Lings coming through the center. And again, those Archons just fighting away and dealing some damage to those Zerglings. Hydras and Banes off over to the right hand side as well. As you do see the War Prism going to continue down to the south side. Another couple of Archons are dropping down here. And as those couple of Archons drop down, we just see a little bit of a cleanup on some of this creep spread. So, more of a cleanup continuing to come on through. Some more Queens and a few more Hydras continuing to come along. We're going to see a nice little pick off there on that Observer. And again, there's a few more creep tumors going to be spread here out the front. Just going to continue establishing this sort of position out in towards the middle of the map. Wants to take a fourth base and a forward location. It works out nice for Lingbane Hydra actually, because taking a base in the forward location, you actually get a lot of flanking potential here. You know, if the Protoss army starts pushing in towards it, suddenly you can attack down this ramp, and this ramp. And while attacking down ramps isn't great, if you attack from a few of them in a different direction at the same time, it can work out. Whereas if a bit attack comes down here, yes, it's harder for the Protoss to get down here, but you're really limited to kind of 2 angles of attack, and this is very choky once the hatchery's in position. So, yeah, I mean, you can kind of just take both at the same time as well. That's what Nerchio's going to aim for. That way, if one gets denied, at least you have the other. But in general, like, kind of, you know, both bases, I guess, have their benefits. You know, this one's kind of further set back, so it's harder for the Protoss player to get there in the first place. But you can definitely take engagements in the center of the map that work out. And in some extent as well, you might even be looking towards later in this game, where a hatchery in the middle of the map is harder to hold later in this game, perhaps, and therefore mining from it now gives you those minerals already a bit further mined out. It's less of an issue later on. And even kind of just moving in towards lurkers, holding the middle of the map becomes a lot stronger as well, because you hold this choke point with lurkers, and you can push forwards with lurkers. That's very beneficial to you too, as we see a lot of cannons and shield batteries and pylons coming up over here, really making sure this third base is very well defended, making sure he isn't going to die to the Lingbane Hydra, as we now see an infestation pit from Nerchio starting up over in the main. So he's getting ready to continue teching up here, as we see Lingbane Hydras to the left hand side from Nerchio, also getting gathered together. And again, +1 missiles, +1 melee. 2 more upgrades from Nerchio that are continuing to come on through. An Oracle off over to the right hand side, Zealots, Archons, Immortals, and Templar joining up to the top side here, and everything right now from Nerchio. Looking to just try and get across to maybe do a little bit more in the next few moments. We'll see by the way the Lings and Hydras going to start working their way through these rocks on the left hand side, so going to be able to pick their way through that. Obviously opens up some opportunities once again as to just what exactly Nerchio can get up to. So again, gets rid of that set of rocks already and just opens up the pathways, which of course for the Zerg player is what you're looking for in this game. Now DnS is a very, as a player who plays straight up standard and really plays for the later stages of these games, and I really feel like in this game we're probably waiting for DnS to probably look towards a set of carriers in the near future. You know, the fleet beacon, extra stargates. Something that can probably start to go a long way here, as we're going to be seeing this Oracle from DnS currently just set up. More Hydras and Lings around the left hand side going to be coming forwards and getting ready to go. This entire army actually of DnS coming back in towards the centralized position. More Hydras in towards the center of the map, and again just creeps spreading out all over the place to see what might happen next. 5 Dropper Lords on the way up from Nerchio is something he likes to do in the ZvPs. You know, I'd say Nerchio was one of the first to even be doing this back when he won that, or when he lost that WCS finals against Showtime in Tours, the Spring Championship back then in 2016. Question mark? I think it might have been 2015, was it? Was that 2015? God damn, that's insane if it is. Is it? Yeah, I think it might have been 2016. No, it was 2016, right? He then won Valencia later that year, but he was really one of the players to popularize these kind of overlord drops with Hydras and so on. Obviously, this isn't Lurkers right now, but it is something that's been adopted by a lot of Zerg players. Laser loves doing this, Namshar loves doing this. It's a very powerful way to play. It can get a lot done. And right now, you can see this was not spotted until it hits the main, and DnS probably has to recall to deal with this. I mean, probably has to recall a good chunk of his army as well. A lot of Hydras in the main. Some of the Hydras will go in towards the natural instead. A Forge goes down already. Only +2 attack in the game, so definitely could do with more upgrades off of that Forge. Actually, DnS continues to push down the right. He does send some Immortals and Arc and High Templar across to start storming and dealing with this properly. And again, those Overlords are now loading in other positions. But DnS still has a presence on the map. As he is starting to clean this up, there is potential here for him to maybe be able to still push in as well. Again, there's no Lurkers, so he isn't going to be kind of slowed down in that regard. Initial Banelings crash into Archons, but man, Archons are so tanky against Banes. It's actually kind of insane. As we're going to see some more of these Banes coming in. There's High Templar available. Storms, I don't actually feel get a lot done here. In fact, I really feel those were very poor Storms, because what they did was lower the health of the Banelings, but they didn't actually kill the Banelings before they hit on the army. Suddenly DnS's attack is completely shut down. There's still some Hydras, and at least his main base here for him to worry about, and even another couple heading over towards the third. So DnS is in a little bit of trouble there. Now Nerchio may be feeling some confidence to move into the center, although at the same time, does he really need to push forwards? Not really. Greater Spires on the way up, Broodlord's coming through, and if DnS hasn't had the chance to tech up in towards carriers, then Nerchio really can control this in his own kind of way and head in towards Broodlords over the next few minutes. Again, some more Lings and Hydras gathering together towards the lower left-hand side, and we are going to see another Hydra just dropping out in the top right, picking his way through another few of these probes, so a little bit more damage being dealt here as the Stalker and the Zealot warp in, and they will be able to clean that Hydralisk up. Nicely done, as again the Stalker continues to push this Overlord towards the top side. Very nicely done so far. 5 more Corruptors on the way up. Greater Spire coming through from Nerchio. Lings and Hydras come off over to the right hand side, and they will be able to grab a kill on that Oracle as again Zealots, Archons, High Templars and Immortals. This army of DnS is rebuilt, but again as Broodlords start to take to the field, DnS just isn't quite prepared. His Fleet Beacon coming up. If he could buy some time to get the Fleet Beacon and the the carriers up or so, great. But I just don't think that's going to be a reality for him here. Well, he'll try though. Big warping in the main of Zealots. I mean, these Hydras are getting a lot of damage done in the main and natural though, so both players are taking some damage here in terms of economy. Nerchio will start to deal with this, but now has to get ready to deal with this forward attack, and he has just evacuated the 5th base already in the forward position. So again, that kind of base in the center, mined from a bit, now it's a bit of an issue, so he just evacuates from it here. Oh, Broodlings very nearly get themselves a High Templar kill. With a few Zealots around the place, this is definitely more devastating to the economy of DnS than it was to Nerchio. And again, as 4 Broodlords are about to pop into play, they're going to be hugely important continuing on. The first Storms kind of miss a lot. High Templar are still with a couple of Storms available, starting to come on through, but now the High Templar are gone, the Storms are gone, the Hydra count is still pretty scary here. Pulls back. Where are the Broodlords that moved in? All the way towards the main. I think a few reinforcements here in this army that remains of DnS is not even really an army, it's just a cluster of units. A High Templar goes down, an Immortal goes down, but I mean, okay, it's just slowly picking away here, Nerchio, at these last few units, and as they go down, DnS is just going to tap out of the game. Again, his economy is in shambles, he doesn't have an army to fight against Broods, and he's not going to have the time to build an army that can fight against Nerchio and DnS. On Abiogenesis, why are we seeing this map so much today? In the last couple of days, I feel like I've seen this map way more recently. So much recently than ever before. It's crazy. Maybe players are starting to figure out how to play on it. Sometimes it does take us. Same with Dastan Station, I guess. We started to see a lot more of Dastan Station towards the end of its life in the map pool. It just takes a while for people to figure it out and to be a bit more confident in terms of not vetoing it coming into the tournaments. Anyways, top left-hand side, DnS is our red Protoss player, and you'll notice he's opening double gateway here, allows him to be very aggressive in the very early stages. As to the bottom right-hand side, the blue Zerg is Nerchio. So just getting set up and getting ready to go in game number 2. Nerchio opened with, I mean, it wasn't like an early pool, but it wasn't like a, it wasn't like a 12 pool, right? But it's still a little bit aggressive, and obviously, as he comes across, he's going to see the double gateway. Already a Zealot building just to potentially fill the hole in the wall, which should generally be left, and actually it's already one Zealot out, so a second Zealot on the way. I mean, this is the thing with Abiogenesis, it gets weird very quickly. And Adept on the way as well. Obviously Adept's become a big power kind of play here. Ooh, catch on the Zealot. Does he actually trade out the Lings for it though? In the end this turns out to be good micro from DnS, and he keeps it alive. The power from DnS now comes in the fact that as he gets a couple of Adepts up, he can push forwards. And as he pushes forwards with 2 Zealots and 2 Adepts, Nerchio is forced to make so many more units. Obviously DnS has a delayed natural for this, but it does delay the economy of Nerchio quite drastically as well, as they get set up and ready to go. Our feeling is coming down this right-hand side. We are going to be seeing the hatchery finishing up a roach run from Nerchio right away, so maybe his entire plan here is just to play an aggressive roachling attack. Just needs to defend these first kind of few units. Obviously, the more that DnS gets done right now, the better for him. No third hatch from Nerchio just yet. Generally is a delayed third hatchery that's taken here on Abiogenesis, because again, it's a bit of an aggressive map, and so taking it too quickly sometimes does just lead you into trouble. Adepts will not commit to the shade as they continue to back away here, but again, the roach run is about to finish. What did actually DnS see just yet? Not actually much. He didn't see this roach run. He did see continued gas mining though, potentially, and so that is actually pretty good info. As Ling speed finishes, these Lings will come across, and the roaches are now on the way. It's going to be a shield battery at the front already. Start kind of setting up defensively a couple of shield batteries. The Stargate coming through as well. What comes out of the Stargate? I mean, the issue is these roaches come across so quickly, and even the kind of queens coming across will be extra damage, and also they'll help against the Stargate units. So even if this is a Void Ray, then there is indeed those queens there to help fight that. So there is some sort of an anti-air kind of coming into play. The first roach is coming over, and again, Chrono Boost on the Void Ray. These Lings obviously looking to see what they can do. What do you actually target down here? The Cybernex core? Would actually probably be a really good target, because if you kill the Cyber core before Warp Gate, you're going to shut down so much of a so much kind of follow-up, and that's kind of what DnS will kind of pay for by kind of Chrono boosting a a Void Ray out here initially, rather than Chrono boosting Warp Gate a bit. Well, initial roaches actually going to be seeing drones behind this from Nerchio, so he's already kind of teching out of this in some strange way. The Corrosive Power will land, and we do see the prismatically aligned Void Rays going to be pulling away a little bit. Queens going to keep on hitting here, and the initial shield battery is already draining of energy, and more shield batteries are coming up to start dealing with this now. Queens on that Void Ray once again. Ling's trying to break on through. The Ravagers and Roaches continue on the Cybernex core. It's going to force only Zealot warp-ins. The Corrosive Power just misses the Zealot warp-in time, and new shield battery is up. Queens are still here for the Void Ray. New Void Ray on the way as well. Zealot count is going down. A second Void Ray is obviously going to be huge in this. And we do see now Roach is actually starting to fall. The Queens need to get on top of the Void Rays. They really do, because if he doesn't push the Void Rays away, the Roaches aren't going to do enough. And I guess right now the goal is maybe just get as many probe kills as possible to make this follow-up worker kind of production actually viable here for Nerchio. So many shield batteries, but Nerchio is taking a worker lead. I mean, 33 to 25 workers. Yes, this wasn't an attack that killed DnS, but at least Nerchio didn't continue to throw units at it. And DnS had to invest a lot of minerals into defense. He lost a Cybernex core. He's got a couple of voids, which is nice, but obviously spores come up to help defend. More queens are coming up. Nerchio doesn't have a third hatchery, and that's maybe my biggest kind of qualm with his position in this game at the moment. Without a third hatchery, what are you actually going to look to do next? I'm not 100% sure what you're actually going to look to do next as Nerchio. As you do see these few voids coming across. I mean, again, I don't think the voids necessarily themselves can do too much, but I guess we'll find out. An overload going down is already going to bring Nerchio closer towards the supply block. As these queens, well, let's see if they are going to be able to do enough here. There's already one pulling backwards, and a little bit of micro will begin. Spore in range to help out, and yeah, the voids are going to get pushed back by the queens and the spore, so it's a good defense from Nerchio in that regard. Again, only 5 workers ahead though, and now Alair starting, he has to get this third hatchery up. If the Void's found a way towards the third hatch, that could be deadly, because there's no creep connecting it up just yet, and so the queens out here would be very slow, and there's definitely potential for the Voids to dance around, hit this hatch, and then jump into the main, and get some damage done there as well. So there's definitely opportunities at the moment here for DnS to get damage done, but can he find those opportunities and make them into something? An extra spore from Nerchio is going to help him out once again, as this is once more one of those kind of weirder builds here on Apiogenesis. One of those weirder games that kind of gets kind of weird because of the fact that this map allows for this aggression early on. Transfusions are available on these queens, and that's what they're using right now. Don't walk into the stasis ward though, Nerchio. You saw this, you know it's there. He'll actually pop one of the queens before there's a transfuse on it in. Interesting choice of which queen to commit. He obviously wants to get in here to push the voids away from the third hatch. This was the damage potential I was talking about here, being there for the Zerg player, or for the Protoss player, sorry, and I mean, it was there, but Nerchio has been able to just about defend it. Meanwhile, Roaches and Lings go across the map because the Voidra is out of position, but how do you ever actually break this with so many shield batteries? I guess you kind of just don't, which is maybe fine. I mean, it just forces the Voidras to recall, and it gives Nerchio now a setup on 3 bases, which he can kind of control a little bit. More Lings coming down, back down to the right-hand side, and really you see 4 more gates and charge on the way up. This is going to be 6 gates in total. Temple Archives is ready, so Archons are available. And obviously now the third Nexus getting set up once again. So third Nexus coming through, and those Voids are going to look to see what they can do. Already grabbing themselves a Zergling. And to the left-hand side, another Zergling going to be wandering around to see what it can get up to. Again, there's that Hydralisk Den, which is just finished up, and again, the Oracle to the far right is going to be interesting to see what it can do. War Prism will be finishing up in a few moments' time. A couple of High Templar will morph into an Archon here as well. Another couple of Pylons. And we are just going to be seeing that as this army gathers up. I mean, Nerchio, he's back into this position in the game, which I kind of feel okay with him, you know, with him being in, as a, you know, if you're a Nerchio fan. Because he's got 60 workers, and if he can hold off an attack, it's good for him. I guess the biggest issue is holding off an attack. Voids and Archons are not just the kind of typical Archon-based army that this is at this stage of the game, right? So it's something extra that Nerchio has to fight against, but he does have Queens and some Hydras to help out with that. He's got a lot more production on the way right now. He's about to hit a supply block, but with what he's already got, I feel like he might have enough. We're about to find out. We'll see how this engagement goes. I feel like targeting down the Voidra is nice and quick would be a big part. He's going to try and get a spore in position too. The Queen's tanking a little bit right now, which is actually good because it means the Hydras are able to put out a lot of damage output. You can see here the Zealots go down. Suddenly the Archons are in trouble. The Spore Crawler getting some hits in. Shut down by Nerchio very confidently, actually. Really, really good engagement. And Nerchio, if he wins this, remember, takes first place in the group, which is better seeding going into the playoffs than second place would be. As you see, one Archon picked off here already. The Zealot getting tagged and continues to back away up to the top side. 18 more Zerglings on the way out here. Hydralisk speed coming through, +1 missiles. That's finishing shortly, and obviously potential now for Nerchio to continue being aggressive. His creep pushing up the map. His Roach is moving over. 4th base will come down over here, and the Archon may just look for that cancel right away, but of course the Prism has to be careful because the Queens are still nearby. Oh, that Stasis Ward is insanely good, and DnS is just going to straight up recall back home because he knows having everything he can to fight in this position as the Stasis finishes is going to be so important. You can see Nerchio trying to buy time for the fight until the rest of his units pop out here. Now obviously makes it a lot better for him. Overseer gets taken down as we see these initial Hydras get rid of the Void Rays at least, so now it's just the Archons and the Immortals that are the power units. But they're going to be powerful enough to push this away. And Nerchio trying to get back towards his creep spread. Actually lost his kind of creep spread progress in the center. It hasn't moved forwards for a little while. He needs to maybe reset that here, as we are going to be seeing Archons, Zealots, Adepts, Immortal, and a Sentry continue to set up. Storm on the way up at the moment now from DnS. He continues confidently into his own game, I suppose, here. I really felt after that last fight, the first fight, Nerchio was really kind of in a position where he's like, okay, cool, I just shut this down, I'm feeling good, but that last one was definitely very DnS favored in Nerchio. Maybe didn't even want to commit, but getting, you know, Stasis warded kind of maybe forced him to commit there, rather than just kind of backing away as he may have been thinking of doing so. In the end, DnS capitalizes on a fight, and, well, now you see these few Hydras keeping on fighting as well. These couple of Zealots are going to take some more damage. They keep on going down. One more Zealot running away down towards the bottom right-hand side, and that's just about here going to be able to survive off into the corner. Again, another Prism from DnS coming forwards down the right side into the main. Still around and still with warping potential, but Nerchio is on top of it. He's going to arrive pretty quickly to get a little bit of damage on the Zealots before they get in, and It's enough units here to just shut this down completely. So Nerchio is stabilized on 4 bases. DnS is starting to set up towards his 4 bases. He's stabilized on 3 bases, which is fine. 4 base against 3 is a Zerg versus Protoss. It's sort of the generic sort of position you'd expect these guys to be in. Oracle goes down, which is, if there was a lurker down the map, maybe a bit more substantial as it stands. It's not really the end of the world just yet. As you can see, Zealots coming back into the natural. I mean, this War Prism has been an absolute nuisance so far. We'll be seeing another spawn, this high ground, coming out to try and help protect from this in the future. And that Prism just lifts up another few Zealots and is able to get them out of there. Off over to the right. Zealots, you're safe with me. War Prism is never leaving a man behind lately. There's a 5th base of Nerchio starts up in the bottom left corner. Again, it's weird, isn't it, that these games on Abiogenesis start off so strangely, so interestingly, and yet they seem to always go in towards this position where both players end up being pretty happy with the, with the state of the game. It's so strange, it really is. Archons and High Templar all gathering themselves up, and DnS will be getting set to go forwards here as we see Hydras, Roaches, and Ravagers. They're going to pull back in towards the center. Some Zerglings as well also going to be pulling back just a little bit here. One Adept gets taken down. And 8 Dropper Lords are about to finish up, so obviously opens up some potential now as we are going to be having the units continue to set on up. I mean, there's a lot of Dropper Lords. Continue to gather themselves together here right now. 18 more Banelings on the way up. Queen gets picked off, and we're going to be seeing 24 Banelings in total here. Hive on the way in the main. 2 Zealots running on forwards, and a couple of these creep tumors getting picked away at. Just moving around the map, looking to find he can move into a certain position, but instead he just finds this army, gets the rocks low to maybe use them as a part of a defense to blockade this army. He doesn't want to fight right now because he has so many units in these overlords. Taking a fight for him would be very detrimental because he has just not got the army supply to fully commit to an engagement down over here. There's a lot of units that are going to drop in towards this natural expansion, maybe towards the main even. Let's see, the main has a lot of positions that he can actually use very nicely. I mean, he can get rid of the +2, the Twilight, and the Forge. That would be all really good. Temple Archive, sorry, is what I meant at the end there. Meanwhile, on this side of the map, you can see that DnS is realizing, well, that's a lot of units you've got across in my base. And so he's just continuing to take this fight for a moment or two, like, hey, well, you can't possibly have that much over here. 50 more Lings on the way out. Storms are being dodged very well by Nerchio so far. He's actually really minimizing the damage. He runs back into this storm after dodging it initially. Lings coming in. There's the last couple of storms being used. Honestly, there's not even that much splash damage left over at the moment. As we see the War Prism going down, the rest of these units are going to get cleaned up from DnS, and at the same time, Hydras and Roaches are destroying his main and natural. Okay, the main not so much just yet, but the natural definitely. I mean, the Nexus is gone. And it looks as though Nerchio's made it work out. Wow, the fact he was able to defend on this side of the map while having so much in his opponent's natural is just truly insane. I'm not even sure what to make of that fully. As we are going to be seeing these Zealots. They're going to be gathering together, and we are going to be seeing these Roaches and Hydras continue to gather up. A couple more observers coming over, and, well, what now? DnS is in trouble, right? I mean, as soon as Nerchio gets across the map, it's going to be painful for DnS because, yes, he's going to have a few more Stormers, but he's just not going to have the numbers of units which he needs to really make this work out. It's going to be kind of painful, man. We're going to be seeing a lot more Zealots gathering together as the units come in towards the upper right-hand side. This 4th base of DnS is going to be one of the targets here of Nerchio, and here we go. Hydras and Banes will start to make their way forwards. I mean, there's the first storm. Again, it really only hits the kind of front kind of section of units. It's really not too substantial. Nerchio, he's still got units over here just picking away at structures. I mean, again, Nerchio maybe just doesn't even want to take a straight-up fight at the moment. As time passes by, he's obviously taken an equal lead. He's got 5, 6 bases now even on the way up. Nerchio, complete control now of game number 2. As we are going to be seeing these again. 3 Roaches and Hydras just looking for another couple of pylon pickoffs. Stalkers blinking in, they're going to go for an Overlord, and they're going to get a couple of them, maybe finally shut down some of this pressure, but I'm not even sure if it matters. Is Nerchio long distance mining from this base? I mean, that's one of DnS's bases, so it's a little bit cheeky of him at the moment, isn't it? It's a little bit cheeky. 3 Broodlords on the way out as well. Bunch of banelings from Nerchio continue to morph in, and we are going to be seeing creep tumors continue to push up into the center of the map. And a couple of gates will be replaced, and we are going to be seeing DnS just looking potentially for this next fight again in the next few moments. Because he doesn't really have a choice, I don't think. I think Nerchio is the one who's going to be kind of pressing the issue with Broodlords, etc. I mean, that's why maybe DnS should be looking for the fight, right? Because if he wants to kind of win this game, he needs an answer to Broodlords, and that might just be to attack one of those few enough of them, like he can actually, that he can actually still take this engagement. Would be interesting. As we are going to be seeing units coming down the left side, and well, it's going to be the engagement right here that's about to decide this game once and for all, perhaps. Again, the army supplies are pretty close. If DnS can win this fight, there's some potential for him still in this game. But can he win this fight? There's obviously a question we have to ask ourselves. Nerchio will just give up this base for now. He's got more Banes on the way out. Meanwhile, Hydras are trying to keep themselves alive against Zealots over on this right-hand side. And that's actually going to go fairly well for him. He's going to clean that up without too much issue. Yes, he's losing a few units here and there, but he's also now got the Bruise to slowly pick away, and he's going to come in from another angle. Oh, the Zealots have charged into Banelings. That's never a good start-off point, as we're going to be seeing the Storms really, again, not quite hitting their targets at all throughout this entire game. The Storms have just been off from DnS. I don't know if they've been off or if he's just been missing his marker, because it's very difficult to hit your marker when you're under so much pressure. Nerchio's just been forcing fights that are really in his own favor, and when DnS has been stressed out, dealing with drops back at home, etc., this was a crushing defeat here for DnS in this army, and now he's trying to retreat on home, but obviously it's not happening. The Broodlords, as they arrive on this side of the map, the chances of being able to do much more in this game are really lowering for DnS. 31 army supplied to the 94. Nerchio is here aggressively, and I don't know why he's pulling away, honestly. I mean, yes, that's a Warp Prism, but you don't need too much to do with a couple of Archons. He's just going to continue moving forwards, and yeah, that is definitely the better decision. Yes, you can probably send a few units back to deal with that, but the reality is, you've got enough here to push on through. I mean, he actually is going to pull back now. So again, I guess Nerchio playing the safer game here just to make sure. But honestly, once these Lings come in and clean up these couple of Archons, I mean, there goes the Warp Prism even. As those Archons go down, DnS, I mean, he's got a standing army of, again, just a scrap full of units. It's like that first game. He had like a handful of units left over at the end, but really not much more. And that really is all it's going to be right now. As we see 11 more drones getting picked away at, and we are going to see those few Overlords continue to spread out off over to the left-hand side. Burrow on the way up here from Nerchio. Another Nexus on the natural. We're just going to be seeing again the Broodlords just dropping down in the rocks, continuing to take some damage. Just breaking through, kind of giving himself access back to this base, I guess. DnS is literally massing Stalkers at this stage, because it's all he can build to actually have a chance against the Broodlords. But what are they going to do? Blink underneath the Banes? And, you know, blink underneath Broods when there's Banes and Hydras? Probably not, honestly. Probably isn't going to work too well. Stalkers and Archons coming in to the right-hand side once again. Creep Tumors pushing up the right-hand side also. 16 more Lings in production as here we go. Stalkers and Archons blink in. I mean, this is the fight that DnS has to try and take somehow, some way. The Fungal Growth even. To lock this down, he taps out of the game. GG, Nerchio takes game number 1. Game number 2 of the best of 3.